Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our CSS trick. Today, we are going to talk about CSS position. But before we continue, please help me share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue to make more content. Thank you. So let's get started. So what are we going to cover today? Today, we are going to cover what is CSS positions, the type of CSS positions with examples and use cases. So what is CSS position? The position specifies the type of positioning method used for an element, either static, relative, fixed, absolute, or sticky. These are the types of what? CSS position. This definition, I got it from W3 School. And then another definition says CSS position are used to control the placement of element within the web page. There are several position values that you can use, which each with its own behaviors. Now, these position values are the ones we mentioned above here, which is sticky, relative, fixed, absolute, or sticky. Now let's go to the type. The type of CSS position, as we have earlier mentioned, are sticky position, relative position, absolute position, and fixed position, and then sticky position, sorry. Now, in interviews, they will ask you, mention the type of CSS positions, specifying clearly their differences. So we are going to cover that in the course of this as well. Now we'll now look at individually the type of CSS position. The first one is the sticky position. Now here they said that the sticky position is the default position for all elements on the web page. It's the default. Now elements are positioned in the normal flow of the document, which is the top, the right, the bottom, and the left properties have no effect on them. So for instance, we have a class name static box, and then you give it position static. It will not affect it because that is the default. It has no effect. Now going to relative position relative to its normal position in the document flow. You can use top, right, bottom, left properties to offset it from its normal flow. Now, what this is saying is, for instance, if you have a box on your web page and you want to move it, for instance, from point A to point B on your web page or your document flow, you can simply give the box or the div the class one ID, and then give it a position relative, and then either use top, left, bottom, or right to now position it. Then absolute position. Now, position absolute is position relative to the nearest position ancestor. This position ancestors is simply the relative, can be relative or with a position other than sticky. That means it can be relative, it can be fixed, it can be sticky. Or to initial containing block if no position ancestor is found. Does not leave a gap in the layout when removed from the normal flow. Now we'll look at the syntax. Now this is the parent that we earlier said. The parent is relative, position relative. And then this is the box we want to place it absolute to this parent. You can give it a position absolute and then use top, left, right, and bottom to now control the position on the web page. Now let's go to fixed. Now position relative. Fixed position is position relative to the viewport. So it remains fixed when the page is scroll and useful for creating elements like fixed navigation bar or pop-up dialog. Now this is it. You give it position fixed, then use top or right or left or button to control it. And then the last one is the sticky. It's used to create elements that are initially in the normal flow of the document, but becomes stuck or fixed relative to their containing element or the viewport when you scroll past a specific point. It is commonly used for creating sticky navigation bar. So without wasting more time, let's go to the implementation of this. Thank you. Okay, now we'll implement it. First of all, we'll create an index.html page, index.html. We'll now create a style sheet, styles.css. You can name it you can give it any name, but for this course of this tutorial, we'll be using styles.css. Then we'll now create HTML boiler template. Just press shift exclamation mark on your keyboard and then press enter. And then we'll give it CSS section. And then we'll now link this style sheet to this. Okay. Now, first, the one we are looking at, we'll be looking at the sticky position. We'll give a name static, a class name static box, and let's give it content. Now save it. Now let's go live and see how it will appear on the web page. Now this is how it will appear. Now let's give some properties so that we'll know. The class name is this. It's a class. So let's let's remove the default setting, padding. So we have padding 0, margin 0, box sizing, border boxes. Now you see as we remove, now we'll remove those empty space. Let me comment it so that we can see. You see, there was an empty space. Now, as we have done that, we have removed the default tag. So let's give that box, static box. Or let's just give it box so that we can use for others. Box. Now we can say merge the border. One px solid versus red. And then marks with 1 let's give it 800%. Okay, you see, this is it. Let's give it a thicker border. Let's give it 5. Yeah, great. Now you see, this is it. Now, when you give position static, it has no effect because that is the default position that element by default comes with. But for instance, if you now say position relative, mind you, you can now use top, let's say 20 px. Once you give 20 px, you see it has moved down. You go left 30 or 300 px. You see it has now what moved. So that is what position relative. And I like making use of this documentation. This is W3 School. W3 School has a nice documentation for you to use. Thank you. So we have covered static and position relative. So we'll be going to position absolute. Okay, so let's comment this and then give create another, we call it parent div, and then create another one called absolute box. Let's give it maybe Lauren 8. Now let's remove this so that by default we now have a box so that we can see. Okay, good. Because once you use that, let's use box dot box 2. Let's give it symbol. Let's give this one green. Then the position is 400. Position 400. Okay, so we'll now call this box 2 here so that we can see the effect. Now, when you open your browser, you see the box 2. Now, great. Now, we said there must be a parent div. Now, let's say we have dot, we'll call this class name parents. I'll give it a position, let's say relative. And then we'll come here, we'll copy this guy. And give it box position absolute. Now let's save and see what you see. By default, you see what happens. Now when you do top ATPX, right, sorry, left, ATPX. Now let's see what happens. You see, this is what happens. Is that clear? Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video, but make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.